You created a service that we probably would have needed to otherwise hire for, but you eliminated the need to hire for it, and you were able to do it at a cost that I know we couldn't hire for. And so you sort of made it a can't lose proposition. Here's the thing that you want to try. You don't have the internal resources to spin something up yet on your own. I can help you with that, and I can do it at a cost that that really just can't be beat from a hiring perspective. But then on top of that, you're coming in with knowledge and expertise of this, and so we don't even have a cold start.
Matt, thank you for taking the time to come and chat with me today. Would you mind just telling us a little about yourself and what you guys do at Hunter?
Hey, Oliver. Always a pleasure. So I'm CEO of Hunter, and Hunter is a go-to-market software application. Specifically, it helps sales and marketing teams generate more leads that are qualified and targeted based on their ICP.
Yeah, very cool. And Matt, we've been working together for about 4 or 5 months now. Prior to partnering together, what were you guys working on at Hunter, and what did we come in and help you do?
Well, it's sort of a little meta, right? Because what we do is we help companies with their cold outreach, and we specifically, Hunter targets SMBs. We are, in some respects, an SMB, but as an SMB, one of the challenges we faced, like our customers, was, how do we resource something that we've never done before effectively, or that we've only done in really specific ways? How do we expand our use of that? And so we really wanted to start using direct outreach as more of a sales and marketing tool. But the crazy history of Hunter meant we have no sales team, never have. We don't really have a marketing team yet. We've been building that up over the course of 2025. And so, we were looking at the year and thinking, how do we figure out a way to add bandwidth and resources to try to learn better? How do we optimize our outreach channels without, in dog food? And to a certain extent, it was about dog fooding, but more importantly, it was about like getting a cold engine started. And I think, that's how we started working together, and that was very effective.
Since we've started working together, what sort of results have we achieved?
We were able to create a really nice pipeline of sales conversations. Something that we had historically leaned on was more of a product-led growth strategy, more self-serve. And we've invested a lot in self-serve, had hit certain plateaus in terms of customer insights, sales insights. I think we've got a really good conduit of information to our customers, but we did not have a really good conduit of information to sales prospects. And so getting an outreach process going was a way to start to open those conversations and figure out, the things that companies figure out when they start talking to sales prospects and not just customers. So, what are some of the narratives that are in the market that either help or hurt us that we need to know more about? How do we package the solution, and how do we package the results of that solution so that people could adopt it? And that just requires starting a conversation. That was really effective. I think by the when we started the year, we had no idea if we were going to be able to accomplish that. And when we ended the year, I think we'd learned a lot. We already knew what things not to do anymore. We knew what things to double down on. And so opening up the sort of voice of sales in the organization was a sort of black hole challenge. We just had no idea. And I'm, super happy that now we've, gotten over that first hurdle. We've really built up more of like an understanding within the organization of not just like, how do we build products for this, but like, how do we actually achieve it? How do we do it ourselves? And then how do we improve that? We're far better off today than that. And in the meantime, we've also tested some ways to talk to customers. Now we know sort of what's effective, what's not effective. And going into 2026, it gives us a chance to really be more aggressive with outreach, which is exciting given who we are.
100%. And how have these insights kind of impacted your day-to-day operations? How has it changed how you necessarily operate as the CEO, but also the visionary of the company as well?
Well, if you are trying to create a vision, the more information, the better. It's really easy to get distracted, especially in tech, right? Especially right now with AI. It's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to build an initial MVP that people can try all kinds of new things. And it requires that you're really disciplined about your process, because with AI, it's become very, very easy for people to generate a lot of noise really fast. Mm-hmm. What has always been true about software companies is the staying power is not from the bright, shiny objects. The staying power is understanding how do you need to build your solution to maximize the results for your customers and for the market in general. And sometimes that's two different things, right? So like right now, our customers are SMBs. And I think we've dialed in the product market fit for SMBs really nicely. But as you are doing that, you also need to be opening up conversations with people who are not your ICP and trying to figure out where some additional opportunities lie. So when you're, once you've kind of got the motion going, the job for me is, okay, now look again out into the future. I kind of have to live 6 months to a year to 18 months. Well, in the current timeline, it's that. It used to be a longer timeline, but I need to constantly be looking out into the future for those kinds of things. And, if you're focused just on sales conversations that are coming in off the website, demo requests, et cetera, it only gives you a certain glimpse. And so one of the things that we were able to achieve with updating our outbound this year was actually having conversations with people higher up in the buying cycle. And that gives you a really good indicator of like the actual shape of the buying cycle, the kinds of questions people are asking before they're warm, before they've identified that they have a problem. It also gave me a chance to talk to people about who'd maybe tried it and quit doing outreach and had all various kinds of reasons for that. But usually it boils down to the same reason every time. Somebody tried it, it didn't meet their expectations in terms of results, and they assumed that the channel doesn't work. And I think what's happened over the last couple of years, by and large, B2B has eliminated the idea that the go-to-market approach doesn't work. And it's now a reality of almost like advertising. With advertising, nobody's going to tell you advertising doesn't work. They're going to tell you that it really depends on how effective you are at crafting a message and getting it in front of your right audience and making that resonate. And I think the thing with outreach that I've certainly learned, but I think that even the market is starting to learn, is it's just a channel. And like any other marketing channel, you have to figure out how to optimize it for your business. And that means a combination of things, just like advertising does. It means getting the message right. It means, luckily, there's no visual components to it really. So you only have to kind of get the message right and get the technical deliverability right. And then after that, it's about how well you can follow up and drive business through the pipeline. And I think it's a great turning point coming into 2026 for us, because it means we now understand that what we do is becoming such a routine that you can no longer think about it as a new concept. And now it's about how do you do it right. And the great news is there's lots of analogs to that, right? We can look at advertising business. We can look at email marketing. We can look at so many different analogs and say, okay, well, what can we take from that and optimize for it? So I think this year, why I'm excited is we've kind of burned out some bad ideas. We've found some things that worked. We have a bit of a vision about some new things that we want to try. And I think we can accelerate our cycles because of what we learned last year and what was successful for us in 2025. So yeah, all good things. In terms of how that impacts my job differently, though, it's really about giving me the information about segments of the market that I don't have great visibility to, and making sure that data is factored into my decision making. Mm-hmm.
I like it. And what do you think across the board has been the biggest impact that Ascenxion has provided you in the business?
You've made it. Look, you approached this exactly the right way for us, which was you created a service that we probably would have needed to otherwise hire for. But you eliminated the need to hire for it, and you were able to do it at a cost that I know we couldn't hire for. And so you sort of made it a can't lose proposition. Here's the thing that you want to try. You don't have the internal resources to spin something up yet on your own. I can help you with that, and I can do it at a cost that really just can't be beat from a hiring perspective. But then on top of that, you're coming in with knowledge and expertise of this. And so we don't even have a cold start thing. It's more about transferring enough information and then quickly cycling through experiments until we kind of know how to work together and what works with this channel, that we're taking on together. And so didn't have any insight into that before. And I think now we're much much farther ahead than we would have been if we hired for it or if we tried to do it without hiring. It's just been great.
Mm-hmm. And that's my biggest goal personally, is to come in and be a extension of your team,
Right.
essentially, kind of be your right-hand man when it comes to outbound, whether that be this channel or another channel. How would you describe the working relationship? I think we've got a pretty good one, but I'd love to hear your perspective on it as well.
We do have a good one, but let me put some color on this. You are by no means a spring chicken, but certainly I'm substantially older than you are. And one of the things that I think people overlook or take for granted in their professionalism is being able to be trusted to follow through. And I think one of the scariest things when you're outsourcing or hiring a contractor or an agency is creating a hiring process that can create trust. That's hard to do. I think that's where a lot of people fail. And if somebody is more junior or younger in their career, this is often the lesson that they have not yet figured out. They're waiting for somebody to hold them accountable as opposed to holding themselves accountable and making sure that they are funneling information proactively to people who need it. And something that's been true with you since day one of just having conversations with you is that, I never have to worry about that. If you are assigned a task, you will do it. You will follow up. If you are responsible for a portion of this business, you take responsibility and ownership of that. And look, I just don't have a lot of faith that that's common anymore. And I was really impressed that with you, I very, very quickly got to a place where I realized that it's not a concern. And what that allows you, look, as a CEO, what that allows me to do is focus more on strategy, focus on thinking about the results and figuring out how to interpret those for our business. Because you know how it is, like data could mean different things. And what you have to do is figure out what explains the data. With your help, we were able to focus our energies there. And instead of constantly tripping over metrics or, getting technical setup done or studying what we think is like, what's the state of the art right now? You're able to do that. And I think you come in, you supplement the team very well. You're able to you show ownership and responsibility, even though, you're an outside resource. I don't feel like you are one. And I think in a nutshell, if I had to identify what working with you is like, I would say that is probably the best example, the exemplar of what a working relationship with you is like. I don't have to worry about it. I know things will get done. It gives me the bandwidth to think about it creatively. And what I really appreciate about you as well is like, you're not precious about any of it. You'll bring ideas in, but I think you're really easy to collaborate with, and not everybody is. You can somehow have opinions, but not come across as overly opinionated. And as a leader, something I'm always looking for people on the team is that's actually hard to achieve. Something that's hard for knowledgeable people to do is learn enough about something to form opinions, but not carry themselves in a way that comes across as opinionated. That's probably a better way to say it. And I think something I've appreciated about you is that it's your willingness to share ideas, to take feedback, to not take it personally, but to still try to move things in a direction that you think is right. So like, I don't know quite how else to articulate that, but walking that thread is something I really appreciate, and it's something that has been great working with you over the last year.
No, I really appreciate you sharing that, and I feel the same way. I think we're at a point now, we both know each other's goals. I think we can navigate what each of us need to do to make those goals happen.
I hope so. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah. And Matt, I do appreciate you sharing that. If there's anybody out there evaluating a marketing partner right now, do you have any words for them?
Buckle up. Valuating, look, marketing's job gets harder every year. It's independent of your business. It doesn't matter what business you're in. Marketing in 2026 is going to be harder than it was in 2025. For us, what's important is that we have enough flexibility and enough agility to try things in parts of the business that are important without having to invest more upfront. Look, the whole thing, all of this is about trying to find efficient paths to revenue. And one of the slowest parts of that process is finding the right person. And so if you're thinking about adding marketing support to your organization or sales support to your organization, one of the things that you should be trying to optimize for is like not just about time to value, but can this person reduce the total amount of time investment that you have to make as an executive or a leadership team? It's like the total cost of ownership math. I've not done this, Oliver, but I can tell you that the total cost of ownership after a year with hiring, staffing, training, just investing in it ourselves and trying to do it in-house, you've reduced the overall cost and accelerated the learning that we would have otherwise achieved on our own, and you've been able to reduce that in a fairly substantial fashion. I don't have a number on that. Is easily more than half. So if you're looking for a ballpark way of knowing if I invest in this, is this person and is this team going to be able to support me in a way that's cost effective and can lead to more efficiency over time? That's been my experience. I would definitely say yes.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And Matt, that is all I have for you today. So I appreciate you coming on, sharing your insights.